Alright, I titled this video Operation Numbnuts. Why did I name it Operation Numbnuts? Because we're living in a country full of supreme stupidity. I've gone through a lot of my old videos and listening to them. A lot of them are so poppy and whatnot that a lot of the message is missed. A lot of the words are left out or distorted or whatever. Literally, the video that I made right before this, it happened like 5 or 6 times where I'm like, well, people don't understand that I'm having an issue with my internet at the time and that there's about 30 seconds that's completely missing out of it. They might get the wrong idea. Imagine that, people getting the wrong idea. So, we've got a lot of people in America who are victims. But you don't want to hear from the victims, you want to hear from good-looking, famous people. Like the poor victims going through this shit every day don't get to speak for Congress, but Ashton Kutcher gets to speak for us, to speak for the victims of child trafficking and human trafficking, the victims of sex trafficking, much of it by government employees. But how can we expect a government not to put those loopholes in there that allow child molesters and rapists and sex traffickers to walk when so many of them are taking part in these activities themselves? Why did they put these loopholes there? Why are they putting loopholes in that allow these predators to get away? It's because they're afraid of getting busted. They want a way out if they get busted. Now, Ashton Kutcher fighting for our rights. It's a good fucking start. The problem is that we need to listen to the actual victims. Why won't you listen to the actual victims? Is it because they're not Hollywood pretty? Is it because they're not Hollywood rich? Let's take a good look at Hollywood right now. Let's see. What's the name of that guy from the video awards that roasted Hollywood? British comedian roasts Hollywood. Let's see the name of this fella. Rick Jarvis, I guess is his name. Nope, this is an advertisement. It says video will play after ad. Y'all remember this, right? Why did it take a British person to fight for American rights? Why aren't Americans doing this? We've got a lot of female predators in the United States. Female predators are more likely to get away with it. They're more likely to reoffend because of, well, the stigmatisms attached to men. Women cannot be victims. Women cannot be predators. Women cannot be this. Women cannot be that. Hold on a second here. How about instead of taking a look at it based on gender, we take a look at each individual case based on evidence? Not, he has a penis, so he must be guilty, and it is all right for us to slander his name and harm him, actually physically harm him. Without a day in court, without even looking at evidence. And even when they try to show you the evidence, you don't want to hear it, you don't want to see it, you just want someone to victimize. The police just wanted someone to victimize. The Bollinger family just wanted someone to victimize. You know, I've been accused of a lot of things that I couldn't have done in the last few years. That's what happens when it becomes popular to hate someone. See, the dog and cat thing, a lot of y'all don't understand why that's so funny to me. Well, when I was trying to help find Selena Not Afraid, I was here in Chapel, Nebraska without a vehicle. But one of them folks was looking up the Natalie Bollinger situation and decided to start accusing me of being a murderer. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Her murderer is actually sitting in prison for her murder. So maybe you try to look it up before talking trash. But that didn't matter. It didn't. That person talking that little bit of slander, and it was slander, obviously, Natalie's killer is in prison for the crime. But no, instead I had hundreds of people starting to get on and make fucking shitty comments about how I'm of this and I'm of that. Fuck you. I'm going to defend myself against you nasty bitches. If you can't tell the truth, fuck you. You deserve prison. You're trying to destroy human lives, just like this person here was trying to get me kicked out of my housing position by slandering my name. People will outright go out of their way, knowing that they are lying outright, just because it is popular to hate you. See, there was a woman up there, and I got screenshots of this, of course. This woman wanted to claim that me and somebody else gave her a ride around the same time that Selena Not Afraid disappeared. And that she had to throw herself out of my vehicle to get away from me. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a vehicle. I'm in Chapel, fucking Nebraska. You know, I just got released from a fucking mental hospital a few days ago. And I was sent to the mental hospital because I was trying to turn in police officers and that specific mental hospital. So for trying to turn in my predators, I was turned over to my predators and they were allowed to harm me. And when I got out, I did exactly what it is I do every time. I go back to trying to save lives, trying to show what's going on, and trying to get an honest goddamn day in court. Over 40 court dates in 2018, and I wasn't allowed to defend myself or show evidence in a single one. And you guys want to talk about how we need to focus on black people, how it's a black issue, how it's a woman's issue. No, this is not. So let's see it. Over here, Kevin Malone typed, "What's up, man? How are you?" And Jay Harold typed, "After someone is accused and victimized and their life is turned upside down, the damage is already done. Even an apology does nothing to repair all of the trauma." And that's true. But getting a day in court, something that I fought for hard for a whole year before Natalie was killed. And now, 3 years since, I'm still fighting. still fighting to try to get my voice heard. But when they call you mentally ill, you have no rights. You don't have any rights. You want to talk about how marginalized black folks are? Try being called mentally ill. The majority of the people who are sitting in the jail who are black right now at this very moment are homeless. They were homeless when they were arrested, but that isn't something that you're going to bring up, is it? Because it's the color of their skin that matters to many of these groups. All they see is skin color. They see me, they see a white guy, they assume that I'm some ignorant fucking upper middle class fucking white boy who got my whole goddamn life handed to me. No. 70% of Americans 18 to 24 are financially supported by their parents. And still, we have a over 50% poverty rate here in the United States. Most of these folks who don't live under the poverty line, the only reason that they don't is because of credit. When you start off with nothing, when you are a foster child, you don't have those things that most of you had before you turned 18. We have to try to get them at 18 because before we're 18, we're not allowed to do those things or pursue those things. Government doesn't want to waste any money on that. They just want to pay their buddies. Meanwhile, we've got 80 to 85% of all child pornography comes from the foster care system. 88% of child sex trafficking comes from the foster care system. And you guys treat me like I'm crazy, like I'm a conspiracy theorist, like I'm schizophrenic for speaking out. I'm not going to stop speaking out. And you can't scare me by accusing me of feeding dogs. You think it'll make you popular to tell outlandish stories? Me feeding a dog or a cat, that's not completely outlandish. It's something that I could do. There's a reason that I don't feed dogs and cats, by the way. And it's not because I'm a bad person. If I'm going to teach a dog, I teach the dog with love. If that's not good enough, then that dog's not for me. Every single dog I've ever trained, I've trained with love, letting them know how good a job they did when they did something good. They don't expect food from me, and I'm not going to give them food for no reason. It also gets them used to food that is unhealthy for them. Now, Chris Stegeman, he insists that I feed his dog. If there's once in a while I go over there, he'll call me up and tell me he wants to hang out. He's bored or he's just sick of stupid people and wants an intelligent conversation. And he'll give me something to eat, or I'll bring over something and I'll eat it. And he'll hand me part of whatever he's eating and tell me to hand it to his dog. So, okay, I can do that. Specifically because you asked, but I'm going to let you know that it's not something that I'm comfortable doing, and it's not something that I'm going to do with my own dogs, and it's not something I'm going to do with somebody else's. If you ask me to treat your dog that way, then I will. If you ask me to feed your dog, let's say you think it's some sort of a bonding thing, where you think your dog will like me more if I feed it some food. No. It probably will. It'll associate good tasting food with me. But I'd rather that dog know me for who I am than what it can get out of me. And loving on that dog is a good form and a good reward. Jay Harold type, my experience in foster care was terrible, and I believe I had it pretty good compared to others. You might have. You might have had it pretty good compared to others, but you might have had it not so good compared to others. There's a few people that I know, they were only in one or two foster homes. They were in good foster homes. And that's the entirety of their experience. So when you tell them about the temporary foster care system, going through a new foster home every 2 weeks. You can't visit the same one twice because of attachment issues. And these people who are in a decent foster home want to tell you, well, that's not how it is. That's not how it is. I know because I was in foster care. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you got a good foster home. I am. I had more than one good foster home. My very first foster home was in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and it was a good foster home. Those were good foster parents who cared about me and my older brother Eric. But my mom, she wanted to have custody of me. She lived in Colorado, and she was able to convince the courts to have me transferred to Colorado. And then she just never got clean. So we were taken from a good foster home to Colorado, where my older brother was sexually molested in a government facility, and I was sexually molested in multiple government facilities. But I'm supposed to shut up because I have a penis. This is a women's issue. I'm supposed to shut up because I'm white. This is a black issue. You know, I'm also disabled. The disabled are killed. Over half of the people that were killed by police last year were disabled. Almost half of them were homeless. Do y'all want to hear those statistics, or are those bullshit because it doesn't coincide with your racist bullshit? You don't want to see it because it proves that it's not all a bunch of racist shit against black people. If every time that this happens to a black person, it's a racially motivated crime, but every time that it happens to a white person, it's somehow magically justified, then yes, it's sexist and racist and a whole bunch of ists on top of that. We got to make excuses why it's okay to happen to one person and not another. Well, look at all these black people rioting. All of these black people, huh? I'm looking at, first of all, Portland. Most of those people are white, okay? White. Second of all, the police, in every single one of those instances, I have seen the police instigate it. These people are being peaceful. Police come in and shoot tear gas and fucking shit like that at them, and you think that doing that to a human being for being peaceful and asking you to stop is wrong? The fuck is wrong with you? See, that's the thing about a lot of folks who are angry at all black people for what some black people are doing to fight back. But then again, take a look at how it works. Historically, all throughout history, this is how it works. You ask nicely, nothing fucking happens. You ask nicely again, nothing fucking happens. You speak out, they come and they victimize you. You fight back, and they will come and kill you or lock you up. You get organized, and you stand a fighting chance. Get organized with the other victims. Work together and overthrow those son of a bitches. The fact that all of this shit with Epstein is all over the world news and nobody is sending troops to the United States and no American is doing a goddamn thing to relieve our government of their command shows that most of America is doing exactly what I've been saying that you are. You're being complacent. You're bitching about it on Facebook, yet doing nothing in real life. What are you doing in real life to get these child molesters out of the Senate, out of Congress, out of the White House? And the Supreme Court, for shit's fucking sake, The Supreme Court has deemed our Constitution illegal. The system fucking sucks. It doesn't matter what fucking color you are. You want to talk about being the most marginalized people in America? No, the homeless are the most marginalized. Look at the population size versus the incarceration percentage. And I get to hear the argument from black folks that, well, you know, the reason that black folks have such bad statistics is because we are victimized. And they are absolutely right, first of all. If they're not allowed an honest day in court and they just get railroaded by the courts, which does absolutely happen, then yes, that adds to a bad statistic. But then again, nobody gives a fuck about the homeless except the homeless. You don't care about the homeless until you're homeless. And by then, of course, it's too late because they can already do whatever the fuck they want to you. And who is they? That would be law enforcement. To bolster their numbers and make it look like all homeless people are bad people or all black people are bad people. I've gotten to hear from women who are extremely sexist about how sexist I am for defending the innocent. There's a big difference between going after predators and being a man hater. If all men are to blame and men can't be victims, you go into the same category as those fucking idiots who tell me that black people can't be racist. You're a fucking fud. You are an Elmer J. fucking idiot. Merry goddamn Christmas. Those of you out there fighting the fight, keep it up. Those of you black folks who are fighting for our rights, thank you. Those of you white folks who are being Operation Human Shield and standing in front of the black protesters so that the police are less likely to kill them, I want to thank you too. I am against BLM, but I am not against what many of these people are standing for and standing up to. Many of these black folks and white folks, they're fighting for our rights, and you can't see it. That's not my fault. I didn't make you blind. A lot of the stuff that I complained about, people told me just needed to man up. Once this COVID thing came around and they started having to go through just a tiny bit of it, their whole fucking tune changed. Why? Because it happened to them. That's why I hope everybody in America ends up homeless. Everyone. If you're not willing to fight for your rights, you don't fucking deserve them. And if you're willing to ignore those rights being violated when they happen to others, don't fucking complain to me about yours being violated. You're a bitch who watches. You fucking deserve that shit for being complacent. It's only wrong if it happens to you. What a fucking